12 May, Indian government announced a special economic package of 20 lakh crore rupees, equivalent to 10% of India's GDP, with the aim of making the country independent, against the tough competition in the global supply chain, and to help in empowering the poor, laborers, migrants who have been adversely affected by COVID. Following this announcement, the Finance Minister, through 5 press conferences, announced the detailed measures under the economic package. The borrowing limits of state governments will be increased from 3% to 5% of gross state domestic product, GSTP, for the year 2020-21. This is estimated to give states extra resources of 4.28 lakh crore rupees. There will be unconditional increase of up to 3.5% of GSTP, followed by 0.25% increase linked to reforms on universalization of One Nation One Ration Card, ease of doing business, power distribution and urban local body revenues. Further, there will be an increase of 0.5% if 3 out of 4 reforms are achieved. A new public sector enterprises policy has been announced with plans to privatize PSEs, except the ones functioning in certain strategic sectors which will be notified by the government. In strategic sectors, at least one PSE will remain, but private sector will also be allowed. To minimize wasteful administrative costs, number of enterprises in strategic sectors will ordinarily be only 1 to 4, others will be privatized or merged or brought under holding companies. All businesses, including MSMEs, will be provided with collateral-free automatic loans of up to 3 lakh crore rupees. MSMEs can borrow up to 20% of their entire outstanding credit as on February 29, 2020 from banks and non-banking financial companies, NBFCs. Borrowers with up to 25 crore outstanding and 100 crore turnover will be eligible for such loans and can avail the scheme till October 31, 2020. Interest on the loan will be capped and 100% credit guarantee on principal and interest will be given to banks and NBFCs. A fund of funds with a corpus of 10,000 crore will be set up for MSMEs. This will provide equity funding for MSMEs with growth potential and viability. 50,000 crore is expected to be leveraged through this fund structure. Scheme for subordinate debt for MSMEs aims to support distressed MSMEs which have non-performing assets, NPAs. Under the scheme, promoters of MSMEs will be given debt from banks, which will be infused into the MSMEs as equity. The government will facilitate 20,000 crore of subordinate debt to MSMEs. For this purpose, it will provide 4,000 crore to the Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for Micro and Small Enterprises, which will provide partial credit guarantee support to banks providing credit under the scheme. A special liquidity scheme was announced under which 30,000 crore of investment will be made by the government in both primary and secondary market transactions in investment-grade debt paper of non-banking financial companies, NBFCs, housing finance companies, HFCs, microfinance institutions, MFIs. The central government will provide 100% guarantee for these securities. The existing Partial Credit Guarantee Scheme, PCGS, will be extended to partially safeguard NBFCs against borrowings of such entities, such as primary issuance of bonds or commercial papers, liability side of balance sheets. The first 20% of loss will be borne by the central government. The PCGS scheme will facilitate liquidity worth 45,000 crore for NBFCs. Under the Prime Minister Garib Kalyan Yojana, the government paid 12% of employer and 12% of employee contribution into the EPF accounts of eligible establishments for the months of March, April, and May. This will be continued for 3 more months, June, July and August. This is estimated to provide liquidity relief of 2,500 crore to businesses and workers. Statutory PF contribution of both the employer and employee will be reduced from 12% to 10% each for all establishments covered by APFO for next 3 months. This scheme will apply to workers who are not eligible for the 24% EPF support under Prime Minister Garib Kalyan package and its extension. However, central public sector enterprises, CPSEs, and state public sector units, PSUs, will continue to contribute 12% as employer contribution. A special scheme will be launched within a month to facilitate easy access to credit for street vendors. Under this scheme, bank credit will be provided to each vendor for an initial working capital of up to 10,000 rupees. This is estimated to generate liquidity of 5,000 crore. Payments due to MSMEs from the government and CPSEs will be released within 45 days. A special insolvency resolution framework for MSMEs under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 will be notified to protect Indian MSMEs from competition from foreign companies. Global tenders of up to 200 crore will not be allowed in government procurement tenders. The rates of tax deduction at source, TDS, for the non-salaried specified payments made to residents and tax collected at source, TCS, will be reduced by 25% from the existing rates. This reduction will apply from May 14, 2020 to March 31, 2021. This is estimated to provide liquidity of 50,000 crore. Direct listing of securities by Indian public companies in permissible foreign jurisdictions will be allowed. Private companies which list non-convertible debentures, NCDs, on stock exchanges will not be considered listed companies. NCDs are debt instruments with a fixed tenure issued by companies to raise money for business purposes. Unlike convertible debentures, NCDs cannot be converted into equity shares of the issuing company at a future date. The definition of MSMEs will be changed by amending the Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises Development Act, 2006. As per the proposed definition, the investment limit will be increased from 25 lakh rupees to 1 crore for micro enterprises, from 5 crore to 10 crore for small enterprises, and from 10 crore to 20 crore for medium enterprises. A new criteria of annual turnover will be introduced. The turnover limit for micro, small and medium enterprises will be 5 crore, 50 crore rupees, and 100 crore, respectively. The current distinction between manufacturing and services MSMEs, to provide different investment limits for each category, will be removed. The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 will be amended to provide for the following. Minimum threshold to initiate insolvency proceedings will be increased from 1 lakh rupees to 1 crore rupees. 2. Suspension of fresh initiation of insolvency proceedings up to 1 year, depending upon the pandemic situation. 3. COVID-19 related debt will be excluded from the definition of default under the code for triggering insolvency proceedings. The Companies Act 2013 will be amended. Certain offences under the Companies Act 2013 will be decriminalized. These include minor technical and procedural defaults such as shortcomings in CSR reporting, inadequacies in board report, filing defaults, delay in holding of AGM. Several compoundable offences will be shifted to internal adjudication mechanism. Currently, certain provisions from the Companies Act 1956 continue to apply to producer companies. These provisions will be included in Companies Act 2013. The National Company Law Appellate Tribunal (NCLA) will be granted powers to create additional/specialized benches. All defaults by small companies, one-person companies, producer companies, and startups will be subject to lower penalties. Farmers will be provided institutional credit facilities at concessional rates through Kisan credit cards. This scheme will cover 2.5 crore farmers with concessional credit worth 2 lakh crore rupees. A fund of 1 lakh crore rupees will be created for development of agriculture infrastructure projects at farm gate and aggregation points, such as cooperative societies and farmer-producer organizations. Farm gate refers to the market where buyers can buy products directly from the farmers. An additional fund of 30,000 crore will be released as emergency working capital for farmers. This fund will be disbursed through NABARD to rural cooperative banks, RCBs, and regional rural banks, RRBs, for meeting their crop loans requirements. This fund is expected to benefit 3 crore small and marginal farmers. This is in addition to the financial support of 90,000 crore that will be provided by NABARD to RCBs and RRBs to meet the crop loan demand this year. The Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana (appsc) will be launched for integrated, sustainable, and inclusive development of marine and inland fisheries. Under this scheme, 11,000 crore rupees will be spent on activities in marine, inland fisheries and aquaculture, and 9,000 crore will be spent for developing infrastructure, such as fishing harbors, cold chain, markets. An animal husbandry infrastructure development fund of 15,000 crore will be set up, with the aim of supporting private investment in dairy processing, value addition, and cattle feed infrastructure. Incentives will be given for establishing plants for export of niche dairy products. The government will approve plans worth 6,000 crore under the Compensatory Afforestation Management and Planning Authority (CAMPA) to facilitate job creation for tribals/Adivasis. Funds under CAMPA will be used for afforestation and plantation works, including in urban areas, 2. Artificial regeneration, assisted natural regeneration, 3. Forest management, soil and moisture conservation works, 4. Forest protection, forest and wildlife-related infrastructure development, and wildlife protection and management. Note that the CAMPA funds are currently used for protection of forest and wildlife management. The Essential Commodities Act, 1955 empowers the central and state governments control the production, supply and distribution of certain commodities to avoid scarcity in the country. Commodities covered under the Act include edible oil and seeds, pulses, sugarcane and its products, and rice paddy. The Act will be amended to deregulate food items including cereals, edible oils, oilseeds, pulses, onions and potato. This is expected to allow better price realization for farmers by attracting investments and enabling competition in the sector. Stock limit will be imposed under very exceptional circumstances such as national calamities and famines with surge in prices. Further, no such stock limit will apply to processors or value chain participants, subject to their installed capacity, or to any exporters subject to the export demand. A central law will be formulated to provide adequate choices to farmers to sell their produce at remunerative prices, 2. Barrier-free interstate trade, and 3. A framework for e-trading of agriculture produce. Currently, farmers are bound to sell their produce only to the licensees in Agricultural Produce Market Committees, APMCs. The proposed amendments seek to enable free flow of agricultural produce and establish a smooth supply chain providing options of better price realization to farmers. A facilitative legal framework will be created to enable farmers to engage with processors, aggregators, large retailers, and exporters in a fair and transparent manner. Risk mitigation for farmers, assured returns, and quality standardization will form an integral part of the framework. This is aimed at enabling farmers to predict the price of crops at the time of sowing and will also increase private sector investment in the sector. One Nation One Card. Migrant workers will be able to access the public distribution system, ration, from any fair price shop in India by March 2021 under the scheme of One Nation One Card. The scheme will introduce the interstate portability of access to ration for migrant laborers. By August 2020, the scheme is estimated to cover 67 crore beneficiaries in 23 states, 83% of PDS population. All states/union territories are required to complete full automation of fair price shops by March 2021 for achieving 100% national portability. Migrant workers who are not beneficiaries under the National Food Security Act ration card or state card will be provided 5 kilograms of grains per person and 1 kilogram of chana per family per month for 2 months. 3,500 crore will be spent on this scheme, and 8 crore migrants are estimated to benefit under it. The migrant labor/urban poor will be provided living facilities at affordable rent under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, PMAY. This will be achieved by converting government-funded housing in the cities into ARHCs through PPPs, and 2. Incentivizing manufacturing units, industries, institutions, associations to develop ARHCs on their private land and operate them. Restrictions on utilization of the Indian airspace will be eased so that civilian flying becomes more efficient. This is estimated to allow optimal utilization of airspace, reduction in fuel use and time, and save about 1,000 crore per year for the aviation sector. World-class airports will be built through PPP model. In the first round, the Airport Authority of India (AAI) has awarded 3 airports, Ahmedabad, Lucknow and Mangaluru, out of 6 bid for operation and maintenance on PPP basis. 6 more airports have been identified for second and third round of bidding process each. The private sector investment in these 12 airports is expected to be around 13,000 crore. FDI limit in defense manufacturing under automatic route will be increased from 49% to 74%. Make in India initiative will be promoted in the defense sector, aiming to make the country independent in terms of production. A list of weapons/platforms will be released which will be banned for import based on a year-wise timeline. Further, the government has planned to improve the autonomy, accountability and efficiency in ordnance supplies by corporatization of Ordnance Factory Board. A liquidity support of 90,000 crore will be provided to power discoms. These will be in the form of funds from Power Finance Corporation and Rural Electrification Corporation. Discoms will also be provided with state government guaranteed loans exclusively for discharging their liabilities to power generation companies. 50,000 crore will be spent on infrastructure development for evacuation of coal. This includes 18,000 crore worth of investment in mechanized transfer of coal, conveyor belts, from mines to railway sidings. Inefficiencies of discoms will not be passed on to the consumers. Standards of service and associated penalties for discoms will be defined, prompting discoms to ensure adequate power and avoiding load shedding. Regulatory assets in the power sector will be eliminated. Regulatory asset is the fund which belongs to discom due to approved tariff hike. This is not realized in revenue as it not passed on to the consumers to avoid instability among them. The discoms are allowed to recover this fund at a later stage from state governments or from consumers in form of an approved surcharge. As of now, significant capital is held in form of regulatory assets across different states which could be used by discoms of the respective states as liquidity. Power departments/utilities in union territories will be privatized. In March 2020, the Mineral Laws Amendment Bill was passed, which opened up the coal sector for commercial mining. Auctions will be conducted for allocation of coal mines. Any party can bid for a coal block and sell in the open market. Entry norms will be liberalized and nearly 50 blocks will be offered immediately. The Electricity Act 2003 will be amended to ensure a progressive reduction in cross-subsidies in the sector. Direct Benefit Transfer (DBT) is being planned for providing subsidy to eligible consumers. The National Digital Health Blueprint will be implemented, which aims at creating an ecosystem to support universal health coverage in an efficient, inclusive, safe and timely manner using digital technology. To help boost rural economy, an additional 40,000 crore will be allocated under MNREG's Viability Gap Funding (VGF) for social infrastructure projects will be increased by up to 30% of the total project cost. The total expense for developing the social infrastructure is estimated to be 8,100 crore. PME Vidyar will be launched for multi-mode access to digital/online education. This program will include facilities to support school education in states UTs under the Diksha scheme, One Nation, One Digital Platform. National Foundational Literacy and Numeracy Mission will be launched by December 2020 to ensure that every child attains learning level and outcomes in grade 5 by 2025. To read more such news and current affairs in detail, kindly visit our website bestcurrentaffairs.com.